the BullsEye Happy Half Hour titled Why Sd-Wan is Vital in the Redefined Workplace. We're glad you're here. Appreciate your time. The call is being recorded. The recording will be available after the call. We'll send that out shortly. Our panel today is diverse in that it includes folks from sales leadership, an SD-WAN expert, and last but not least, an SD-WAN sales engineer. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce the team. Mark Sundergaard is BullsEye's National Director of Sales. Mark, wave, there you go. All right, Michael Leonard is the Senior Product Marketing Manager for SD-WAN for VMware or VeloCloud, as some of you may know it. And last but certainly not least, Mark Nolan, one of BullsEye's amazing sales engineers. So I'm Gina Toney. I'm the one without the beard, right? And so I'll be leading you today in interviewing our fine panel. So let's get started. SD-WAN is not a new technology, and you know, as a matter of fact, we're seeing a huge uptick, right? SD-WAN's been out there, but right now it seems to just be booming. Can you talk, you know, we know that the title of the webinar is Why SD-WAN is Vital in the Redefined Workplace, which leads us to the work from home that we've all heard ad nauseum, working from home. Yes, it's a big deal, but can you tell us, and Michael, I'm going to give this one to you. Can you tell us what else is driving this mass adoption?
Well, yeah, Gina, as you mentioned, work from home, you know, with the shutdown that happened about a year ago, we saw a lot of organizations sending their workers to work from home, and many of them adopted an SD-WAN solution where an edge device was put into the home. And as the economy starts to open up, we're seeing that many organizations are still going to have some of their employees working from home. So that's still a big driver. But there's a lot of other things that were going on before that are still important. And a big one is getting direct access to the cloud from the branch office, you know, for access to SaaS applications or cloud hosted applications. And what we found is that even with, let's say, legacy applications that are hosted in the data center, where the main component may be in the data center, a lot of organizations have adopted a microservices architecture for their applications. And that means that they're putting application modules in the cloud. And so they need a solution that will steer traffic appropriately back to their data center or to the cloud, depending on where the application is. So they need a solution that recognizes their applications and can steer the traffic.
Awesome, thank you. And you know, we probably should back up a little, and I should probably ask this question first. We have partners on this call, we have customers on this call. So the partners pretty sure know what SD-WAN is, right? Let's back up, even assuming most of the folks on this call know what it is. And can you just give us a quick refresher, Michael?
Sure. You know, SD-WAN has been called the biggest innovation in networking in the last 20 years. It's comparable to the switch to MPLS networks back in the early 2000s. And it's a software overlay. It runs on the existing WAN over the top of the existing routers without any changes required to the underlying network. And it uses business policies to steer traffic. It's aware of what the applications are, and it's agnostic to whatever link type. So it works over any link type. And what that means is it provides a big improvement in intelligence over conventional routers and even MPLS label switches. And it uses an edge device. It's just a simple connectivity device, but it does have routing in it. It sits in the branch office or the home office. And then it works together with gateways that are in the cloud to steer traffic to cloud hosted applications and that connect directly to the cloud backbone networks from the big providers. And it uses a central management orchestrator to set policies and push them out to all of the devices at one time. So you don't have to log into each router and type commands in it. It's all done graphically with policies from a central orchestrator. And really with this architecture of the gateways and capabilities like traffic steering over any link type, you get high performance access to applications in the cloud for even for real-time applications and for your business critical applications. So really SD-WAN is ideal for organizations of all sizes in any industries that want to increase the agility of their network, simplify their operations, get high performance to the cloud, and in many cases, they can even reduce their costs.
Awesome, thank you. So going back to the boom, I like to call it, of SD-WAN out there, let's, from a sales perspective, Mark, what are you seeing out there? I mean, are people beating down the doors for SD-WAN? What's it look like out there in the market? I guess you're the guy carrying the bag, right? So what does it look like out there?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a big take rate on SD-WAN, and when we talked originally about this, we kind of joked about how long we've been around and all the things we've seen, and this is just the latest rendition of the data network. But we're seeing a big take rate right now on SD-WAN. I think previous to this point, previous to a year ago, we were seeing a lot of augmentation of MPLS networks. So yeah, it would be used in unison with that. Now we're seeing more rip and replace, where they're taking out that MPLS network and replacing it with the SD-WAN, which is moving all that out to the branches, to the home network, and getting all that cloud traffic, which grows and grows all the time, getting all that out to the cloud where it belongs and not running through your data centers.
So thank you, Mark. So Mark Nolan, are you noticing that, I always call it matching jerseys, but engineers on the customer side are starting to see the advantages, or do they understand how SD-WAN works and maybe how it's more reliable than legacy WANs?
Yeah, I think they understand it. A couple of things that are going on is that they're starting to get into a position where they can actually deploy it instead of just look at it. Yeah. The constant change we've been under and the change in the market over the last year has really been an impetus for companies to make decisions they might not otherwise have made. So this change is putting a lot of things in motion. But at the same time, while they know like what SD-WAN does, they may not necessarily know what it can do for them specifically. And there's 2 or 3 things out there that they may not have thought of or read about yet, specifically the kind of things that we do as normal and custom. They may not be seeing other places. So does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you. So Michael, I'm going to come back to you, and you touched on this a little bit, but so talk a little bit more about how SD-WAN enhances the performance of, in the management even, of some of the SaaS applications that are out there. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Sure. You can put multiple links out at the branch office. One of them might be your legacy MPLS link to the data center, but you can add a broadband link, and that can go straight to the internet. And SD-WAN can steer the traffic. It'll know that you're going to Salesforce, for example, that's a SaaS application. It'll know that you're going to your legacy, in-house application that you run your business on. So you get reliability over the dual links. You also get the performance of going straight to the cloud. And you get optimal routing because the edge device connects to the gateway. The gateway is out there hosted near the cloud at the cloud interconnect point. So the gateways can connect you straight to the AWS backbone network, for example. So you're not going over the best effort internet. In the case of BullsEye could set up policies to direct the traffic the way that they feel would be best for the customer using SD-WAN. You mentioned policy again. Well, I think I touched on that a bit, but these policies are all set in the central orchestrator, and it provides reporting so you can see, how's my network performance doing? How are my which links are active, which applications are going over the network, and how's my bandwidth being utilized. So it really gives a lot of insight, from one console. And in the case of BullsEye, you can set up roles-based access and let customers in to see their own custom reports.
Excellent. Mark, are you selling on that feature too? I mean, just the management, right? That Velo SD-WAN provide. I mean, are you talking about that out in the field?
Those types of features and functionality are very important in this process, and BullsEye takes the approach that we can do as much or as little as you need us to do in management. We can fully manage it for you, or we can turn over the keys to you, because the way we sell it, we don't have to be involved in that. So if you're a highly regulated organization and you can't have someone else in your network, we can give you full access to it. You lock us out if you need help, you give us a password, or we can do a hybrid where we work together. It gives us a lot of options in taking care of all the different kinds of customers and networks that are out there.
Thank you, Mark. Mark Nolan, SD-WAN can be deployed on top of existing networks, right?
It can. In fact, we can deploy it on top or in parallel with just about anything that's out there. You guys had mentioned earlier on MPLS. That's a legacy network that was just everywhere. Everybody had MPLS, just until just a few years ago. And it's still out there, and there are a lot of people that want to migrate over but can't do it all at once. So we can actually make that transition with them and do a hybrid model, use a little bit of theirs, use a little bit of ours, and get them over the hill there with that stuff. Same thing with any other legacy network they've got, whether it be one they created or a different SD-WAN altogether. We can make it all work.
Perfect. So let's talk about security a little bit. Michael, I'm going to come back to you. Tell me about the ability to secure SD-WAN and operate an enterprise network affected by SD-WAN technology. Does that make sense? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of options with SD-WAN. The edge devices do have a built-in firewall that's suitable for smaller branch offices. There's also a virtualization environment. So you could run a virtual network service like a firewall on the edge device. And it also has a very easy way to do service insertion. So you can set up the SD-WAN device to recognize where the traffic's going, and then send it to a cloud-based firewall, for example, and have security applied there. So there's a number of ways, depending on the needs. And I know a lot of organizations are using these cloud-hosted security services. There's multiple types of them. And so SD-WAN can easily be set up using policies to connect to them.
Thank you. That's good to know. Mark Sundergaard, back to you. When you think about, and I know you think about every day sales opportunities, and again, we've got agents on this call, we've got customers on this call, but who is the ideal person that you usually talk to on the selling side? I want the partners on the call to know that, but also maybe the customers that are on the call to say, hey, who should be managing this in my organization? Who's the typical person that you go to?
Well, we're usually seeing someone within the CEO's line of command, or CIO's line of command. It could be the CIO themselves. It could be part of their team. It's usually someone within that group. We do get CFOs and some finance people, but that's usually in conjunction with someone from the IT staff, at some level, because you need both of those to make a proper decision on these.
Mark, what about you? Are you, again, we'll go back to my matching jerseys. Are you seeing on your end more sales engineers? Are you seeing a little bit higher up? What are you seeing?
Most of the people of that sort that we wind up talking to aren't necessarily sales engineers. They may be network engineers, but the same idea applies. They're looking for a way to get something done. And the technology is definitely there, especially the flexibility where you can use what you need get the best of whatever is local and available, right? So you don't have to buy stuff you don't need or overbuy. And that tends to pull in your finance people, especially the ones that are trying to save money or be more efficient. So it kind of all comes together. It can come from either way, but they both wind up coming to the table with us.
All right, thank you, Mark. So, since this is a BullsEye happy half hour, right? That's a mouthful to say, but it's a happy half hour. We do have Michael here and appreciate him. But I want to talk a little bit about, we all know on this call, a lot of folks are out there selling SD-WAN solutions, right? We're a VeloCloud house. They are our choice. But, what does BullsEye bring to the table? Why would you buy SD-WAN from BullsEye? What are some of the things that BullsEye does to drive that? To help you make a decision when you're looking for providers or vendors?
I guess I can take that. Yeah. Well, I think one of the key things is one company, one bill. Because of the way we're set up, everything would come through us, and we can bring in other parts of the organization also with different products, and that all comes to one spot. You only have one place to call. We have award-winning suppliers, Velo. A long history of doing this and doing it well. So we've been in business over 21 years, and we have been doing this type of service of combining people's different products and processes together for that whole time. And over that time, we continue to have a 99% retention rate. So we've learned to do it well, and I think our customers reward us by staying with us for a long time.
Yeah, and that says a lot. I mean, that's about unheard of in this industry. So, I mean, that's a really big selling point. And I like you have one person to work with. Some people say one throat to choke. I like to say one back to pat, right?
There you go.
I think that sounds better either way. So Michael, I'm gonna throw you this last question, and if you were talking to, and I think this is really important coming from you, if you were talking to a prospect, a leader, customer, how would you describe the positive business outcome, that they should get or they will get from deploying SD-WAN? And that, I promise that'll be my last SD-WAN question.
Well, and it's a layered answer to that, because it starts out with things we've touched on: better WAN reliability, better utilization of your network, being able to use lower cost broadband. But what that then gets down to is you're eliminating downtime for your applications, which we could say leads to better productivity. None of us like to contact a business and then have them tell us, well, our computers are down, or our application is slow, or I'll get back to you. You don't want to hear that. So, but the other thing is we're really helping them to realize their business initiative to move to applications in the cloud, because we're ensuring the performance and the direct access. And then again, we talked about security. They can support remote workers without them having to backhaul to the data center, and without them having to increase data center firewall or VPN infrastructure. They'll go straight out from the branch to the internet and use cloud services for security there. So I'd say, bringing down IT costs. In some cases, they can even replace the branch office router as it comes to end of life and just have the SD-WAN device do the routing. So there are very tangible benefits, but there are also a lot of intangible business benefits.
Excellent. Mark, when I said last question, but I've got a couple more, sorry. So Mark, when you're out there talking about SD-WAN SD-WAN, and Michael touched on this a little bit earlier, SD-WAN is a nice little part of a possible bundle, right? You can add other things when you're selling SD-WAN. What are some of those things? Would it be what a little bit of UCAS, a little bit? I mean, we offer so many things. A little bit of actual, securities, a little SOPOs. What? Go ahead.
Which Mark would you like?
Mark, you.
Okay.
Mark Sundergaard.
Fantastic. We can add quite a few different things to this bundle, and the nice thing is everything that BullsEye sells, we can sell standalone or we can sell bundled with other services. So if we have Velo, we can bundle in security with it. We have SOPOS and we have Zscaler. We have our BroadSoft UCAS service, and we also have gateways from Velo in our BroadSoft where our BroadSoft servers are, that we can give you the UCAS service through a secure portal and not have to worry about some of the things that you worry about going over the internet with your UCAS service. We also do wireless access points and things like that. So we can create an entire solution that allows you to have your business set up, and we've done this in some franchise type solutions where we're giving people the phone service, SD-WAN, security, access points with landing pages, all of this put together into one little nice bundle that allows them to run their entire organization across 2 locations or 200 locations or 2,000 locations, all with the same types of services.
I think you've hit on something that we hear from people is really important. You can use the SD-WAN to make sure the other service is working better, like the UCAS, and to make sure it's secure. And you guys have done it before. I say how, well, SD-WAN is so simple, but we all know it's still networking. And if you've done it before, that helps a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Nolan, so are you seeing from an engineering perspective, and I say from an engineering perspective because, sorry, Mark Sundergaard, but sales guys are sales guys and they put a bunch of stuff together and they're all excited. From an engineering perspective, do you see when you're talking to these network engineers and other folks that when you talk about SD-WAN, it brings up a conversation for other things, maybe other products, like that it naturally versus a sales guy saying, hey, come and buy my stuff, right? Do you see that it brings that up kind of naturally in a conversation when they're talking about SD-WAN?
It really does. One of the prime things it brings into focus is security, specifically cloud security. They kind of layer together. So it's pretty often that we start talking about SD-WAN because we're trying to solve a problem. And then we get branched into, okay, what was the problem, right? Was it performance? Was it security? What have you got going on? So we wound up branching off into all these other things, which is great for us and hopefully helpful for them. But it's a whole lot nicer to be able to talk with one group of people that does several things rather than having to put it all together on your own with like a bunch of Lego blocks or, Lincoln Logs and make it fit. So, even if we don't wind up, we're always there as like a consulting engineer on these things, right? We're always available to bounce ideas off of, to talk about what ifs, figure out the stuff that nobody else wants to mess with. That's, so there's a lot going on to answer your question.
That's well said. That's what sales engineers get to do, right? Figure out the stuff, or figure out the stuff that the salesperson promised, right? How do we do that? Wait, absolutely. Does anyone have anything else to add? I mean, this has been a great discussion. Is there anything else you guys would like to add, or? So we're about up to our time. Thank you all for the attendees. We appreciate your time. Thank you to our panelists here taking time out of their day to be on our Happy Half Hour call. Stay tuned for our next Happy Half Hour. It's in June, on June 10th. It'll be around security. Ironically, it'll be around security. And, reach out to your BullsEye sales representative if you have questions. Go to our website, bullseyetelecom.com. And, we put some pretty cool things out on social media. So follow us on LinkedIn if you get a chance, and you'll see some pretty cool things that BullsEye's doing. Thank you for your time and have a great day.
Thank you all.